So in this one here, this section here, my people, you do need to know what 2 to the 2 to the power of, because it's 2 to the power of what equals 256. It's a big number. I believe it's 8. But you'll have to find out on your own. Start there. This one, now these two here are the ones that kind of get into some craziness. 2 to a power is equal to 64. And you can kind of do that. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64. So it took me 6 2's to get there. But that's not what turns it around. If you take a whole number and turn it into a fraction, not only do you have to say 2 to the 6th power is equal to 64, but it has to be a negative, because that's going to take it from a regular 64 and flip it upside down to be a 1 over. Here you've got a 64 and you're turning it into an 8, so it's getting smaller. Don't forget, if you need to, rewrite it as an exponent. 64 to the x power equals 8. 64 to what power equals 8? That might help remind you, oh yeah, h squared is 64. But what power is going to do the opposite of squaring? That's when you take the square root. So you take the square root of 64. It's the same thing as saying 64 to the 1/2 power. So x has to be 1/2. Fractional exponent is a root. Okay? And lastly here on this little video, 33, select the expression that's equivalent to this madness. Well, this is like 2 or 3 problems in one. I'd first raise to the 3rd power. So that's x to the -3rd, y to the 6th, and z to the 3rd. That needs to move downward. If it does, oh. Okay, so what you were watching there is during the bell, I moved that guy up and I moved that guy down. So it became, that should be a positive when I move it down. That became a positive 3, so the 3 and the 2 gave us 5. So you got 3 times 5. The y, these cancel, leaving us with 1. Okay, so you got y to the 1st. And then when you move the z down to the bottom, you end up with z to the 5th power on the bottom down there. And so 3 is still on top, 5 and y. What did I do? Oh, that's a 6. Silly me. So yeah, it's not a 1 on top. There was only, how many were on top? 3 were on top, so the 6 on the bottom became, I'm glad that was a multiple choice question. Okay, code word kooky. All right, that was kind of kooky there. Speaking of code word kooky, write the word kooky right down there and I'll give you a bonus. All right. And depending on the spelling, that'll decide how many points you get. Just kidding.